Good morning,
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Family. Welcome to another Friday here, live from Studio B in Melbourne, Australia, as we get ready for Breakthrough Academy, our Bible study, our Bible deep dive into the Bible here at Breakthrough Church. If you don't know me, my name is Jay. I'm one of the team members here at Breakthrough, and I'm joined, as I am every Friday, by Josh.
Hello.
Josh Roby.
Good to be back this week.
Great.
Full team
Great
is
to
here.
have another
crew
full
is
team here, and as always, our senior pastor,
Hey,
Pastor
everybody.
Nicholas. No, it is good. It's been a few weeks because
We swapped for the last 2 weeks.
You were unwell last week, then I was unwell. I had work or something the week
You
before.
had your first.
I started a new job and I had to do some extra work on the Friday morning, and so it's good to have the three of us back.
We're all back.
The three amigos are back together.
You didn't say A team last week, did you? Because I wasn't here. Because that was the joke the week
Exactly.
before that we were the A team because Jay wasn't
Because
here.
I wasn't there. I forget exactly what I said, but no need to bring it up now.
Yeah. What I don't know won't hurt me. You know.
Exactly, and if you knew, it would.
It
So
would.
it's great to have you all joining us, as always. Good morning to Pastor Christine joining us, saying welcome back, Josh. Good morning to Joe and Sheba joining
Yes.
us as every Friday.
Joe and Sheba, one of our faithful regulars.
Two of our faithful regulars.
Sorry, two. Yep, two of our faithful regulars who are always hungry for the word and always.
When you said one, which one were you referring to?
Oh,
Sheba.
Joe, of course. No, don't be silly. She was a cat, Jay. No, we regulars. Pastor Christine, as Jay just said. And if you're here and you would like, let us know. You'll get a call out. How
Exactly.
cool would that be, eh?
So we've been studying the book of Acts, and last week we looked at Titus, which was go back and watch that if you haven't seen that, because I actually got revelation as I was teaching it. It
It was a great.
and I've now been reading the book of Titus during the week. It's like through new eyes, and I was tempted today just to let's just keep reading through Titus, but in the understanding, let's just keep moving forward. And so if you if you want to deep dive, go back, watch, rewatch, and then read the Bible, the book again and again. But in doing that, we're trying to find out, where does Titus fit in terms of the book of Acts? Who is this Titus? And we discovered that the name Titus does not appear in the book of Acts.
Yeah.
It was but he appears in lots of other places. He appears in lots.
Basically, we discovered Luke had an issue with him because Luke wouldn't mention it, but Paul mentioned it like almost every other letter.
Yeah, he was the one delivering letters. He was the one doing a whole lot of stuff. He was really a key part of what they were doing. And Paul and Titus had obviously gone down to Crete, and there started a work. And then he said, "Now I've left you here. Set up the churches, appoint leaders." And so that's what we were talking about. How did Titus choose? What was he looking for? Because so if I said to you guys, "Hey, go and appoint some leaders, to find people that show leadership qualities, show people that are respected because people see them as they're the ones I want to follow," and then Paul's like, it doesn't mention any of those things. He mentions a whole lot of other stuff. It's like, what is he doing? And it's basically rooted around the concept that look for those that grace has been working in. So you find those that grace has actually been changing them, and make them the leaders, because those that have grace working in them and in their families and in those around them, you put them in leadership, guess what? Grace will work.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay?
That's good.
If you go and just find the person who's got the most charismatic personality and the boldest sort of presentation, the natural leader, then people will follow them. But if they're struggling, when I say struggling, if they're not leaning into grace, if they're leaning into their own flesh, or if they don't care about changing, guess what? That's what will be reflected amongst the people.
Yep.
So all the things that grace is talked about at the end of the book of Titus more, but it's actually a key to the first. So that's what we looked at. But we had to, in order to do that, we say, where does Crete get mentioned and where does Titus? Well, we discovered Titus doesn't get mentioned at all. He was hanging around and involved in things, but what was it? When you get to heaven, ask Luke, "Oh, what about Titus?" That's what Titus probably did when he got to heaven. He's looking.
What about me?
Yeah.
Hey, you got a book.
What am I, chopped liver? But Paul mentioned him a lot. I was staggered at the number of verses that he's referenced to in other areas. But in order to find out about the place Crete, we found the first time that Paul visited Crete was not on a missionary journey, was not because he was visiting there with Titus. That happened later. but on his journey from Caesarea, from Israel across to Rome, when he was under captivity as a prisoner, they stopped at Crete.
Yeah.
So we looked at the map and sort of worked out, and in doing that, I realised there's a lot of information about this journey that they went on. In fact, a staggering amount. It was like, because it was not a missionary journey, there was no churches planted. There was, and not until they got to Malta was there really a revival of sorts.
Yeah.
But the actual journey, which takes up all of chapter 27.
Yeah.
So 44 verses.
Yeah.
This journey to get to Malta. Now, when they get to Malta, there is there's a revival breaks out because of a healing, and I could get that. Yeah, you want to mention that because there's revival there.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of the other stuff, a lot of ship terms, a lot of just about the weather conditions. Yes, there was a major storm and things happened, but Luke gives us a lot of information, and exactly why, I can't tell you what was in Luke's head. Why did he choose this? Why did he take large blocks of Paul's life and just skip over them? 2 or 3 years. Well, we won't even tell you what Paul did down there. And he said, well, did nothing happen? No, I'm sure things happened, but why not tell us
Focus
a
on
little? Even a line or two, a paragraph, half a chapter about Paul's journeys before he really got started. What was happening there? And often there's things where he said Paul spent 18 months there. Oh, no details about any of the ministry there. And other times he gives lots of information.
Yeah.
Lots of details.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, trying to get in the head of someone who's writing with clear purpose and writing as a first century historian. That's one of the biggest keys for me is it just doesn't do it like my Western mind wants at times. You're not laying it out the way I want to. You're sort of throwing a snippet here and a snippet there, and you're expanding later on when I could have used that information earlier when you could have broken it down. But chapter 27, he says, I'll tell you what I will tell you all about is this boat trip. And so
This is important.
Yeah, is it important because it's central to the work of the gospel. It's central to the missionary journey. I can't see that. I can't see that it's got anything that, if it wasn't there, if you started at chapter 27 verse 1, let's do that.
It feels like, I don't know, as you say, the reason, but it feels like that it's showing a shift in the change of Paul's life or circumstances.
Yeah.
From the missionary journeys to now some things that are now unraveling or set in motion.
Yeah, it's like, well, we spent quite a bit of time talking about his imprisonment and his appearance before the different rulers of the day. He's gone through quite in length the defense that he talked about when he was in. He was talking to Festus.
25 and 26.
Yeah, 25, 26.
Yeah.
Even chapter 24. There's a lot of these things. You go back to
Just while you're finding that, good morning to Brooke Lewis. She's translated her own Helen. So Helen, Brooke Lewis.
Helen to you, Brooke Lewis.
Thank you for translating for us. We would not have known that otherwise.
Yeah.
So thank you. So just shout out to the book there.
Hell on where?
Helen.
Helen.
Will.
That's
Helen to you too.
That must be Brooke's own language. I don't know.
Yeah.
Helen. Good morning. Just to get us off track there. Just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, from Acts chapter 22.
Yep.
And 23 and 24, it's about before the councils, before the king, before the Roman centurion, appealing. Gives his testimony a number of times, and it's like there's a lot of information there.
Yeah. 22 to 20. That's 5 chapters are given to that section of it. Is given to the imprisonment and the everything like that.
Yeah.
Whereas the first missionary journey got a chapter and a half?
Yeah,
maybe 2 chapters.
Yeah, that's right.
I think 2 chapters from memory.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's sort of out of balance to what you would expect.
Yeah.
If you sort of said it's all about this, it's sort of some of the missionary work is squeezed in fairly short, and then he said, "I'll run through this." Then Paul sort of gives another address. Well, I'll repeat that.
Yeah.
So it's about what was happening, but there's a lot about what he was saying too. You can even when he was in different places, I remember he was given the address in Athens to the people there, and it records the whole thing. When he was first went in the first missionary journey, and he went into a church, it would record the whole of his message. So it was like there was a lot of sermons. When Peter, Peter was addressing them, it's the sermon is is recorded. So I appreciate that because it gives a real insight into the message and what was important and the influence that the word was having as it was spreading and things like that. So it was not just here's the activities. There was very much about here's the message. It was also about the personalities, about the connecting of Paul and Silas and Timothy and what happened to Barnabas and all those things. What the transition from Peter to Paul, all those things. There's lots there, but he's spending a lot of time here, and then he gets to chapter 27. And seriously, if he had said it was decided that they should sail for Italy, but they were caught in a storm, and they ended up in Malta.
That would be fine. That would fit sort of how he talks to others.
Yeah, it wouldn't sort of be that far out of place.
If you go back to things like I'm trying to think.
Well, and I'm saying I don't think like there's not key information that happened in there, like so and so joined us, or this church was started, or anything. All the information is just about the shipwreck and what happened to the ship.
Because I look at something like Acts 17 verse 10.
Yeah.
So this is after the first 9 verses are Paul and Silas in Thessalonica. So they've travelled there, they've ministered.
Yeah.
And going basically from verse 6, maybe go from verse 6. When they could not find them, they dragged Jason.
So this is Thessalonica.
Thessalonica, then Thessalonica, and so some of the Jews didn't like what he was doing. And when they could not find them, they dragged Jason and some of the brothers before the city authorities, shouting, "These men have turned the world upside down and have come here also." And Jason has received them, and they are all acting against the decrees of Caesar, saying that there is another king, Jesus. And the people in the city authorities were disturbed when they heard these things. And when they had taken money as security from Jason and the rest, they let them go. The brothers immediately sent Paul and Silas away by night to Berea.
Yeah.
So their trip to Berea is just one verse. They sent them away and they went to Berea. And when they arrived, they went into the Jewish synagogue. It's like that's coming from he's been in ministry, he's been in uproar, and they've had to try and send them away, and that got a verse. It's like, if it was like there was a shipwreck and they end up in Malta, it would be like, that's how these things are written normally.
That's like we don't have details. Okay, you sort of point out. Okay, verse. I think maybe verse 5. Okay, verse 5. Verse 6, no, it doesn't. 6, and verse 7. There's one name mentioned 3 times.
Jason.
Yeah, Jason. Jason's house. Dragged Jason. Some of the brothers. He gets a name, and some of the brothers.
Yeah.
If you were once one of the brothers, you're like, missed out on getting the Bible. This close to getting in the Bible.
Jason's worth it, worth every beat, every beat down.
And Jason has welcomed them as guests. So
am I correct in saying that Jason's not mentioned before? It says they dragged Jason.
No, verse 5.
Verse 5.
Jason's
and
house.
take the house. But it doesn't mention why they went to the house. It's not like, it doesn't start with verse 1 being like, and Paul and Silas set up in Jason's house.
There's Jason. Who is Jason?
Dropped in the middle of it. Just, oh, by the way, is at Jason's house.
So it's interesting, you look at Romans 16.
Reading parts of Acts, and honestly, anything in the Bible, because as he said, it wasn't just particularly the letters and stuff in the New Testament, because they've written for people, for audiences and stuff. It reminds me of when you're teaching super kids and they start telling you stories. It's like, what have you been up to this week? And I was over at Dan's house. It's like,
who's Dan?
And then you try, and then they'll drop 6 names. It's like, I cannot follow it. You'll teach super kids sometimes, and they're just like, oh, such and such. I'm like, no, I don't know your 3rd grade teacher. I'm sorry, but I'm not familiar with who Mrs. Packins is. Can we maybe get a bit of a detail here?
Well,
and obviously they went to the house of Jason. It's like, could maybe just a little bit of a drop of who Jason.
Romans 16, he's writing to Paul's writing to Roman Christians, and he said, Timothy, my fellow worker, greets you. So does Lucius, Jason, and Sosipater, my compatriots.
So Jason.
Yeah, so Jason.
Because another
So
name.
he was well enough known that
The Romans knew him.
well, it was to Romans where he hadn't yet been to Rome.
I forgot what it was. There was this old, well, somewhat old ad now where it was just like, call Jason. It might have been one of the like insurance or call centers.
yeah.
I don't even remember. But it was just like, call Jason. And so that's
Jason.
that's obviously gone around. It's like something happened or something, or who did that? Call Jason. So
I think my favourite is Tertius in the next line. I, Tertius, who am writing this letter, greet you in the Lord. Snuck it in. I too am writing it.
see, Jason.
Paul said, write this down. Timothy, my fellow worker, greets you. So does Lucius, Jason.
I too. Wait a minute, I'm here.
I, Tertius, am writing this letter.
Yeah.
Greet you too, you know. Hey, we forgot one.
When we
there.
get to heaven, we'll shake his hand. Like.
Yeah. So it was sort of, but Titus didn't get a mention.
Yeah.
In Luke's mention,
Yeah.
Jason gets mentioned, but not Titus. So anyway, so we are talking about lots of information. So in the spirit of that, I just thought, well, let's go with what Luke chose, and let's look at Acts 27. Let's give some time to it because not because I can sit there.
Keep going.
Oh, is it?
Live.
Okay.
No, just so there's a couple comments saying they couldn't access it through YouTube, so I was just going to quickly check and see if there was a reason for that.
Is it?
But you guys keep going.
Oh, make sure that it wasn't put on private.
Pardon?
When
We're doing this in real time.
When we set it up, when we launched it, we've said we possibly had it. I had it.
So
on
does
it.
that mean we don't have YouTube today?
Yes, might only be Facebook for today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I go to YouTube?
Or go to YouTube afterwards because I can
Yeah.
change the settings. Actually, if you guys stay here, I can go.
Yeah,
just
just
put it on
see
YouTube.
if you can
sorted.
tell YouTube not to be private
Give me a
anymore.
moment.
So that was my mistake. I was testing some things the other day, and they gave us a clue how to test things.
Very handy
with
with
YouTube.
Very handy in the comments when they let us know these things.
Yeah.
It's like, we haven't maybe thought
So,
about
I
that.
put my hand up. That
That's
was my
okay.
fault. I didn't put it off the private settings.
That's okay.
Yeah. So anyway, that was the reason. That was a favour that we got this. We got the people that do our program that enable us to do all this recording and everything.
Yeah.
They gave us a free consultation with one of their experts in
Nice.
America.
Yeah.
And he FaceTimed us, and or Zoomed us. We Zoomed and. We did a full-on session talking about how to better use this program. That was just all free, and
Awesome.
this company in America
So good.
was blessed us with that. And he gave us this way of testing stuff. He should have also said, "Remember, when you finish testing, turn it off to private mode." That's like. Anyway, we will. So apologies to those who have tried to go onto YouTube and now have to come through Facebook. Okay, so Acts 27 verse 1. When it was decided, all right, here's my clue as to why there's so much detail in chapter 27. This is just my little secret clue.
Okay, yep.
All right, see if you can pick it up. When it was decided we would sail to Italy, they handed over Paul and some other prisoners to a centurion of the Augustan cohort named Julius. So the centurion gets his name.
Yeah. Everybody gets it, but Titus.
Yeah. So we went on board a ship from, Adramyttium that was about to sail to various ports along the coast of the province of Asia and put out to sea accompanied by Aristarchus, a Macedonian from Thessalonica. The next day we put in at Sidon, and Julius, treating Paul kindly, allowed him to go to his friends so they could provide him with what he needed. From there we put out to sea and sailed under the lee of Cyprus because the winds were against us. And after we'd sailed across the open sea of Cilicia and Pamphylia, we put in at Myra in Lycia. There the centurion found a ship from, lots of shipping terms. But what have you noticed about how the pronoun that Luke is using through all this?
Well, English is not my strong point. Where are we looking?
We. Yeah.
So it's multiple, not.
Yeah. But
all of us.
All of us.
Yeah.
Luke's obviously amongst them.
Yeah. He's saying we. So the writer, Luke, is going we. So he was there. He was on the ship.
Not they.
Yeah.
All right.
They said went here, or Paul went here, went there.
Yeah.
We.
So he could have written when it was decided they would sail to Italy, and verse 2, they went on board a ship. But no, it's we.
Yeah.
Because Luke's
He's there.
part of this, he's going with them.
Yep.
So he doesn't sort of say, I join them or anything like that. It's just like, he just changes pronouns. So we did this, we did. I'm going to say that is one reason we have all the information. Because Luke went on this trip.
Yeah. Because Luke went on this trip. That's why. Thanks, Luke.
Yeah.
Sorry, Titus, but thanks, Luke.
Yeah, but this is the diary of, he was part of this whole journey.
Yeah.
And so all the reasons for it, the places they went, the name of the captain, he might have been keeping notes.
Yeah.
He might have been keeping a record. So when he came to write this, he got all information. And it could simply be because he went on that journey. We get the benefit
we hear about it.
We get the diary of it. So
yeah.
that is one reason. And I'm guessing, there's a bigger sort of picture. God had a reason, and we learn things from it. But often you just got to realize that at times they were just writing. What they could, they were not thinking we're writing scripture.
Yeah.
They were just writing to the circumstances.
Yeah, that's right.
Luke was actually writing to Theophilus.
That's so true, yeah.
Acts chapter 1, he says, the first account I composed, Theophilus, and I would put it up on the screen because people might not be familiar with this. Wow, that was really not good. I wrote the former account, Theophilus, about all that Jesus began to do. And so it's like, he's writing to Theophilus.
Yeah.
He's doing a record from there. Obviously to be published and as a record, not just for this one person.
Yeah.
I write to you, but for this, so that it's going to have a bigger life than that.
Yep.
And so he's not thinking necessarily, I'm refining this for the Bible.
Yeah.
He's just refining this as what he writes and what interests him.
He's giving an account.
And giving an account. And so he decides, what they really need is an account of this journey because it's quite interesting. But they often do drop things in and out for unusual reasons. So I'm grateful because it gives us a picture of what Luke was writing and what Paul and them experienced and what they went through. And then when Paul talks later on in 2 Corinthians, he said, I've experienced so many things. I've been beaten so many times. I've been whipped. And he said, so through many shipwrecks.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, here's one that we know about. So we can sort of get a feel for those sorts of experiences and what he went through and the difficulty.
We're up and live on YouTube.
And it wasn't my...
It was private. I forgot to check that.
No, we should never have to check that.
Because it should be a part of my routine check. That's on me.
That's nice, Jay, but...
Look, you both could do a bit better. Okay.
Thanks, Josh.
You're welcome.
Josh, the encourager.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the first reason I'm going to say he wrote it was because he went through it and he had all the information.
Yeah.
Secondly, it must have impressed him in some way to say, this is really something you would like to know or need to know. So, that I guess I'm trying to work out between did he do it because he thought Theophilus would like to know? Or was there other things in there he said, you need to know? Do you know what I mean? This is, whereas parts of what happened, like Peter preaching to, Cornelius, that was essential. That was a pivotal moment. You need to know that. Is there anything in here that you need to know? Or is it they're saying, well, I'm sharing it because you might like to know and because I'd like to tell you.
Yeah. Because it's documenting the expansion of the early church, the New Testament church, and Paul being a figurehead, a key leader in that. It's like, they need to know.
Yeah. So, and it's like, people will be interested to know how he got to Rome.
What was, how there's, the Gospels are all done in different ways.
Yeah.
What, I could be completely wrong. Was Luke which one was the historian?
Luke. Yeah.
So maybe he's also some aspect of that.
Yeah, he just he likes to be he likes to record the details, and so he's like, I've travelled this, I've got all the details. I think I'll put all this in. Yeah. So we get a whole chapter talking about this, and like you can find from the first part, it's quite a lot of talk about all the locations. So we went with a map, and so I just went and found a map. We had the one last week where it sort of do the video, but it was we had to keep replaying the video, so I just went and found a map here. Funnily enough, and this is the weird thing. I don't know how this goes. remember they said they went in Cyprus, and they said they went underneath Cyprus because of the wind, right? Because the wind was sort of against them, so they sort of used that sort of place there to get them.
Yeah.
But someone has, if you, verse 4, chapter 27, verse 4. Reading through the eyes of someone who's not really thinking about how they see something. For instance, there's a phrase where they went up to Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And in the Bible, it doesn't matter which direction you came
You're
from.
going
Everything's
up
up
to
to
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem.
Yeah, because Jerusalem
The
is
high point.
the high point of your spiritual life,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
just physical high point.
Yeah.
And because Jerusalem was not on a mountain, all cities were built sort of on mounds, and there would have been there was sort of a height there. But it was just, as a spiritual thing, Jerusalem was we would travel up.
Culturally and everything, it was the
But
high
on our
point.
maps, often we go down to Melbourne and up to Sydney.
Yeah. Whereas they would go like they'd go up to Sydney, up from Melbourne to Sydney, and up to
from-
Sydney from Brisbane.
Yeah,
No
it
matter which
doesn't,
way you're going
doesn't
from.
matter which way from Adelaide you go up to Sydney. Everywhere you go up to Sydney, all right. And so it was a little bit different. Verse 4 says, "From there we put out to sea and sailed under the lee of Cyprus because the winds were against us." So we went under the protection of Cyprus. So what that should look like is
It's going under, but it actually means going over.
Look at this. Someone did a map,
Going
and they
under.
went under Cyprus.
Yeah.
And when I looked at it, I thought, because I actually got this map first, because I thought, I was looking over here.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's the first time I've ever noticed that someone has gone, there I thought under meant under the protection of.
Yeah.
And
That's the open. That's
open ocean. Yeah. So, but it's under Cyprus.
Yeah. But under the protection of Cyprus, I think is what they were going for.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm like, maybe we don't use that map.
How big would
Find
the
another map.
how big would that water space be between Pamphylia
And Cyprus, all right. So you get a feel there. So
Like, because I'm trying to
you're looking
understand,
at
is that like a bay that they're going through? Would that be still feel
Now,
very?
can you? This one of the good things about this one. I don't know whether you can. It's a bit hard to.
Oh yeah, it's got this.
So it's got a map there, a thing.
Yeah.
So if we
So-
do the very scientific,
If I take my hand.
we'll do it this way. There, that's the gap there.
Yeah. No, you need a bit more. So probably
So it's about 75 kilometres.
75 to 100k. Yeah.
Yeah, 75 to 100 kilometres.
Okay.
So it's not small, but it's better
Yeah.
than the
Yeah, the wide ocean.
the 400 kilometres here and the
Yeah.
ocean there. All right. Yeah,
Okay.
but that's good. That's good to. And
I'm like, because I was trying to
it-
think,
it
is this like, would that be like actually going through a bay or something so you're really protected, or is it
Yeah.
just a bit more protected so they're just trying to get?
That is one of my bugbears with a lot of Bible maps.
Yeah.
No,
Scale.
no scale.
Yeah.
And so I think you sort of try and work that out.
Mm.
You sort of how close they. We live in Australia, obviously. Our distances are very spread. When my parents and I, when my parents went and took the family, went to live in England, Liverpool, England, when I was about 7, and so they would plan day trips. My dad was living there for a year as a teacher. He would prepare day trips or weekend trips. Sorry, on Friday night, put us all in the camper van, and we'd do a tour around England, and then back before Sunday night, and then he would start teaching. Then next Friday we'd do it. So he would have the map out, and he would say, "We're going to visit this castle, and we're going to go over here." And my mum said we'd be back home by Saturday night, because it all looked like we're going so many places.
Yeah.
But they were all really close.
Yeah.
In England, it's like, in Australia, if you visited that number of towns and cities,
Oh, it'll take you 3 days.
it'll take
Well, the weekend we're gonna go to one place.
Yeah, we'd
you know.
travel here, and then we'd travel there, and okay, and she's like, you just get in the van, and 10 minutes later you're at the next village, and you want to go to that castle, it's 20 minutes drive,
Yeah.
And so it took them a little while to get to be, sort of get the feel of the distances between the places. Not my dad couldn't read a map, it was just that he was so inherently connected to the fact that there was long distances
And
between
particularly,
places.
like you've grown up country.
We went left from Mildura, so
Yeah, you're going to country
very
Victoria, where
country
like,
Victoria.
you know, to go to get groceries, you're driving 20 minutes.
Yeah, we lived. Yeah, we didn't live in the even in Mildura. We didn't live in the city setting. We were
Yeah.
out amongst the farms. So yeah, everything was a distance. and to come to Melbourne was, 7 hours. I don't know, long. Even I don't know. It was a long time. We just never came down to Melbourne.
Yeah.
exactly.
So a good thing is immerse yourself, and that's a great question to ask. How big is that gap? Get a feel for it, because Luke was like, he's speaking as if we all know this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, is this a 3-day trip?
Yeah.
Is this a 3-week trip? You know?
He's speaking. He's very familiar with the shipping and the winds and things like that. He's really building into the story. Even the fact that we had to go here because the winds are against us. It's talking about the fact that when you're sailing, you don't just get to choose what you're doing because of the time frame. You got to work with the weather, and then you've got to get here, and then it's like, you try and get to a certain point, and if you don't get there by an appropriate time, then you've got to stop for months. You've got to, and like that's a huge thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If if I'm not in a very good place, then I've locked us in for months being at a
bad city.
A bad city in terms of maybe the facility's no good. Also, maybe where the ship is, it's exposed. It can get knocked around by bad weather.
Yeah.
Even though it's in a port, some ports are better than other ports. Some are more protected, and so we're if there's a storm, our ship's in danger of getting damaged. And so it's like, we want to be in a good port, and in that good port there'll be good accommodation and all those things. So these things would sort of like, we don't think about as much because that's not our experience, our lived experience. But Paul talks these things. So one of the keys for you guys is immerse yourself, use maps, get a feel for it, because these things will make it seem. If you just read this, it's just so many names and places, it just becomes noise.
Yeah.
But actually say, okay, let's follow the map. They went from here to here. They went to Myra. They went to Snyder's. They came down to here. They stayed at Fair Havens. All these things, and this is what, that distance here. Okay, I can work out how far we're talking about here. These are all important things. Trying to work out and get a feel. Some people don't even know how to, those things. Well, how far is it in our world? Like if I was driving into the city, how many kilometres? I don't know. People, we just get in the car. We don't measure by distances. So things like that.
From where they start? They started in
Caesarea.
Caesarea. From.
So I'm taking. So what I'm doing here is
where do they end? To Malta.
Yeah. So we're trying to get to Malta, which is after the storm, which is a little island off the bottom of Sicily, which is off the bottom of Italia, and trying to get up to Rome. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what ChatGPT's. Based on the time in history and the technology and what's referenced in Acts 27, roughly how long would a Paul's sailing trip from Caesarea to Malta take? It says roughly it would have travelled about 10 kilometres an hour,
Right.
4 to 6 knots, 7 to 11 kilometres an hour.
Okay, it's handy to know. 10 kilometres an hour.
That is roughly. So a straight run from Caesarea to Malta is roughly 1,400 kilometres, which would take about 2 to 3 weeks under favourable conditions.
2 to 3 weeks.
But because of the detours, contrary winds, and the storm, Paul's journey took at least 6 to 8 winds total, with 14 straight days adrift before shipwreck.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if everything's going fine, if you're not having to stay too long, if
Roughly, we're looking at roughly 6 to 8 weeks it would have taken for him to get to Malta.
yeah, if things were going good.
No, that was 2 to 3 weeks if things went well, because of the situation. Probably, so they're looking at about 2 to 3 weeks, and it's probably doubled in like their.
Well, they're trying to get their aim to get there. You get a little clue. Verse 9, and it says, when considerable time had passed and the voyage was now dangerous. So there was a delay. They didn't have the right winds. They couldn't get there. So now too much time has passed. Now it's dangerous to start travelling.
Is that when they get to Malta?
No, this is when they're at Crete here.
Yeah.
So verse 8. Let's just.
Then Malta.
Verse 5. When we'd sailed through the sea, the coast of Cilicia and Pamphylia. So there's Cilicia, Pamphylia. They're places, they're regions, not towns. Through there, we landed at Myra in Lycia. Okay, and there the centurion found an Alexandria. So we had to change ships there for Italy. So we're finding a ship there that is going to head all the way to Italy. So great, let's get that. We sailed slowly for a good many days with difficulty, had arrived off Cnidus.
Just there.
there. So it took them a long time to get there because the winds are not with them.
Yeah.
So we're slowing, we've got delays. And since the wind did not permit us to go further, okay, from here, where's he wanting to go? He's heading to Italy. So normally you just want to travel there, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
Right, you can't go through there. Remember that's a little gap.
Yeah.
You can't get your ship through there. So around here, that is a dangerous sort of area. But if they, he's doing a ship, he's wanting to go
was the part where it had a bad reputation.
Yeah. So you don't want to travel there, but through here and across and maybe to here. So that's where they want to go.
Yeah.
But it says that arrived off Cnidus, and since the wind did not permit us to go further, we sailed under the shelter of Crete off Salmone.
Under.
So we have to come down because the winds there are no good. The best we can do is come down here.
Yeah.
Off the end of Cape Salmone, and with difficulty sailing past it, we came to a certain place called Fairhaven. They had a real struggle. The winds are not helping here, so they get to a place there called Fairhavens. So it's a struggle. The winds are working against them. They're not.
It feels like it's been an uphill battle.
Have you mentioned this yet? Key detail.
What's that?
In Acts 27, Luke mentions sailing was dangerous because of the fast. Day of Atonement was already over.
So what verse is it?
In Acts 27, verse 9.
No, we haven't got there yet.
Okay, because there's a interesting fact about...
Yeah, so we're right now this is the very verse we're up to.
Oh, yeah.
It says, and when considerable time had passed, so they've gone slowly for me, that now a lot of time's passed, and the voyage was now dangerous, since even the fast was already over. Paul began to... It's got to the time of the year, it's too dangerous.
It actually says here...
Yeah.
It says the fast, Day of Atonement, was already over. That means it was late September or early October.
Yep.
The Mediterranean sailing season was closed by early November due to the storm. So you weren't allowed to sail in November because of the storms.
Yeah.
So there would have been a time pressure on them even there. The fact that we know we have to get done by now because
it's the window.
Storm season's coming. So even if it's dangerous, we have to go now because otherwise we're going to be locked here for who knows how long.
So their plan was we get here before the storm season. But over here it's been slow going. The winds have not been favourable.
Yeah, and then they got stuck.
They say we can't go now, so we go here, and we end up here. And it's like, now it's getting dangerous. And then Paul began to admonish them. So now we've got this interesting interaction. Paul begins to up until this point, verses 1 to 9, Paul is just a passenger. He hasn't had any input. It's not him. It's the centurion who's guiding. When they go to a port, it's the centurion saying you're allowed to visit your friends. It's the centurion that chooses the boat they're going to be on. So he is just really a captive. He doesn't get a say in it.
They're on his journey.
Yeah. So he has to sort of go along. All of a sudden, Paul is having an opinion. Paul is admonishing them. He's saying, guys, I am telling you, men, I perceive that the voyage will certainly be attended with damage and great loss, not only the cargo and the ship, but also our lives. So he was saying, I'm telling you, if we try and push ahead in this, what's going to be lost? Damage, great loss, not only the cargo and the ship, but also of our lives. We're going to all die if you do this. The ship's going to be ruined, the cargo's going to be lost, but we are also going to die. This has become very serious. But Paul is not the person in charge. All right, there's two people that have much greater say in this: the centurion
and the captain
of the ship. He's the one really that's driving this. So this, I think, becomes the theme of what Luke is trying to talk about now.
Yeah.
How did they safely get there?
Yeah.
How did they safely get there? And all the people, how did they also end up safe?
Yeah.
Let me tell you the story of how Paul got a group of people safely through this journey. Even though they shouldn't have.
Yeah, it says just after that they couldn't stay because the harbour was not suitable to spend the winter in.
Yeah.
In verse
So,
12.
Yeah. So we got here.
So they're stuck between like a rock and a hard place
Yeah.
here, and they got to make a decision.
Yeah. The harbour was not suitable. So even though it's called let's just zoom in. It's called Fair Havens, which sounds really pleasant.
Yeah.
It wasn't that fair. Yeah. It wasn't not a great place
I was
to
going to say
spend the winter.
it's a very small island as well. Like, considering, it's like it's sort of
Because if
it's
it's
away from everything. So you
if it's shut off for the winter,
Yeah.
it's not supplied perhaps.
because there's not going to be supplies there. You can't
Well-
get to the main land from there in any way.
Or for the storm.
Yeah.
Crete does have a better spot
Yeah.
called Phoenix. Right?
Okay.
That's why there's a dot there, even though they didn't visit dot. Right?
Yeah.
Why don't this is one of those maps. There's key places.
Ephesus.
Except I've got no idea how they made it on. Yeah, we got Thessalonica, we got Athens, we got Corinth, we got Ephesus. I get Andromitium. I was like, what? How did that get on the
A
map?
point of reference for up there.
But often it puts places that are just important because it's not what I'm saying. This is not a map showing everywhere.
Yeah.
This is just showing the key points. Sometimes we forget there's a lot of other main cities around,
Yeah.
and then they don't show them on our maps. That's why I actually went and looked at a map of first century maps, not Bible maps, because you get a wrong picture sometimes. You think they're the only spots there.
This is where it's happening.
Yeah, but it's just where the things
This is
happen.
where
Anyway.
these things happen.
So, let's go back. They hoped because the harbour was not suitable to spend the winter in, the majority decided to put out to sea from there. They hoped that somehow they could reach Phoenix, a harbour of Crete facing southwest and northwest, and spend the winter there. It was a better harbour if we can just get to Phoenix.
Okay.
It's a safer place.
Yeah.
Um,
That'd be safer not just for them, but safer for the boat and everything
Yeah,
like that.
it's a better place for the ship to not be
It's more
exposed.
sheltered.
Yeah, and so you see the centurion, verse 11, was more convinced by the captain and
The ship's owner.
the
last verse.
the captain and the ship's owner. Yes.
No matter what Paul said.
The
I
centurion.
don't know whether the captain and the ship's owner. I don't know whether he was the captain and the ship's owner, or he was just the captain and the ship's owner.
Yeah.
Both of them, two people.
Yeah.
I actually don't know whether I should. Okay.
Are they
okay.
part of the same organisation?
Is the captain
whole?
and the ship's owner the same person, or is it just a?
If it's
'cause
like their military or their navy, sorry.
Well, what we can do here is look in
Or their trade.
look in a translation that's more free flowing. Okay, this is what I do. That okay, I'm trying to walk you through my process
Yep.
to bring that can just be a confusion that the English language has, because it doesn't specify whether that's two people or one and the same.
Yeah.
When I say I'd like you to meet my lovely wife Christine, or does that imply I have an unlovely wife?
Yeah, exactly.
As well, you know what I mean? Like just by sometimes English language doesn't always help you to. Are you trying to make
Yeah.
This is my youngest son Jay, implies that I have
Yeah.
another son.
Yeah.
All right. This is my beautiful wife Christine. Does not imply I
There's
have
another wife.
another
but
wife
it
that's not
could-
beautiful.
Exactly.
All right. So the English language has made but the Greek might be very clear.
Yeah.
It's just the way it's written in English has made the. So we can look at some of the other translations. I am going to go and look at the Jewish if we can get back there, the Jewish Bible, CJB, because that often brings a little bit closer to some of these nuances and things. However, the officer paid more attention to the pilot and the ship's owner. Doesn't really help me.
And what Joel said. Oh, so they've given the centurion a name.
Sorry,
They gave the centurion a name.
where was that? Sure, that's Paul's name.
Sure.
Joel.
They in this Bible they will use Greek and Hebrew
Name.
terms and names.
So it'd be like, I'm guessing
Like
Jesus would be
Yeshua, and things
Yeshua.
like that.
Yeah.
And like the Holy Spirit, Ruach, using the Hebrew words and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Pilot and the ship's owner.
Okay. So my next step is
One
to go
person, two
to
people.
a more free flowing translation, which might bring more clarity because
That they could have also just guessed.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping they've done their homework a bit more
Yeah.
than I have. So let's do the.
No. Ship's captain and the owner. Ship's captain and the owner. What's the message say?
Let the ship captain and
And the ship owner. So that's
Yeah.
that sounds like 2.
Sounds like 2.
Yeah, because the person that owns the ship, if it's used for trade, would employ maybe a captain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, like
about
that.
this.
I'm guessing.
Yeah. So it seems to be 2 people, and so all right.
So there's lots of people who we're trying to push for it. Well,
yeah.
key
We've
people.
got the centurion, the captain, the ship's owner, and then it says in verse 12, the majority decided to put out to sea. So now it's a democratic vote. You know?
Yeah.
So centurion on one side, who's listening to the captain, who's listening to the owner, who's listening to the majority, and they're all like.
And then Paul
like, no. Okay. I actually find it seems to be. This is a theme of what Luke's trying to say is. Throughout this whole disaster, there was a voice saying, "Don't do this. Don't do this.
Yeah.
Don't do this." But the voice was going against the time.
The majority. Yeah.
It was the wrong time to be there.
Yeah.
It was the wrong place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your person who's in charge of you, the captain who is, can you imagine walking up in a plane and saying, "I want to have a word to the pilot because I saw some dark clouds to the right. I really don't think we should take this flight."
Yeah.
That'd be like, "Son, just go back to your seat.
We fly above the clouds.
I'm the pilot. This is, I've done 1,500 hours of flying.
Yeah.
I've got radar. I've got everything. I know what we're doing." And you say, "Yeah." And your expertise is, "I'm a preacher."
Yeah.
I'm a preacher. I'm a man of God.
A prisoner preacher.
Yeah. And what are you doing? I'm a prisoner. All right. Okay, Mr. Prisoner Preacher. You just go. You are.
You don't get to sit at the back of the plane.
You just want to be free, I'm sure. So.
Yeah. What are you? You don't want to get to Rome, do you?
Yeah, exactly.
What's in Rome?
You've got ulterior motives to be delaying this trip. All right. So. A pilot's not going to pay any attention to you.
Yeah.
It's not like...
He's a professional.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, I've been on a few ships, I know what to do." That means nothing to them.
Yeah.
But Luke is framing this in one man versus against a whole lot of stuff. All right? It's one man against the circumstances, the timing, the people in charge, the experts, the person who owns the ship, the group, the majority. And I think, in one sense, even though this is, sort of, what's he writing this all down for? There's a part where it's like, this is typical of where we stand. We are not doing the gospel message in favourable circumstances. We are not doing it with everybody agreeing and patting us on the back.
Yeah.
We're not doing it to the point where people will listen to what we say. You have people going against you, outvoting you, determining, "No, this, I know a better way. No, you shouldn't say this. No, you shouldn't go there." Or, "Okay, that's really kind. It's really nice." I know of someone.
Unfavourable circumstances.
Yeah, it was like, the Lord put on their heart, "Oh, I should plant a church here." And the people said, that's not a great place to plant a church. Down there's probably a better place. It's got, more positive factors down there. So they went down there, and guess what? Disaster. So, you can have all the right boxes ticked, but it doesn't mean that's where God's blessing is.
Yeah.
And so things like that. It's like you can listen to data, you can listen to information, you can listen to the majority. We very much in our Western mindset celebrate democracy. If it's legalized, it's right because the majority voted for it.
Yeah.
So, if the majority voted, it's good, unless it's the majority voting for something you don't agree with. In any case, no, it's an oppressive society we live in. But I'm just saying, as a rule, people will push back to, why are you fighting that? It's not illegal. and that's sort of like a majority opinion, and of what is right or immoral or what is wrong in our society. So all these things. So I'm thinking that's Luke's push. Is, guys, the gospel does not go with favourable winds.
Yeah.
At times, do you know what I mean? It's got God's favour. God's favour is when the world is unfavourable, you still get through.
Yeah.
All right. So let's compare now to all these circumstances that they thought they had right, ends up in disaster, but someone who is of God puts His favour, and what are we talking about? The loss of everybody. He says, if you trust in God and do it, and God's, if you trust what God's doing, He will get you through, even when it shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So they had favourable winds, favourable circumstances to try and do this, and it went disaster.
Yeah.
Paul had unfavourable circumstances, and he got what God wanted.
Was there like that story with the sale of the old building where it's like in the market they were saying don't do it,
don't do it,
but you felt and the leadership team do it, and just after they had changed the zoning of the property.
Yes.
So it was the perfect time, even though before there was the professional market or don't do it, just wait. But if we waited, it would have been God's favour was on there to get through that.
When they suggested a date for us to do it, to sell our old property, and this was a real estate, not a Christian, he was talking about dates. He's mentioned a date, and the only way I can say is like, if you've got a table with a hollow in it, and a ball comes and it just drops in, and it's like, that's settled. It was like that date just dropped in, and that's the right date. And then 2 weeks before we came to that date for an auction, the local council changed the ruling for our area and rezoned us effectively. Now the rezoning would not take effect for straight immediately, but I got a phone call from our real estate agent. He said all my potential buyers have dropped out. We had all this interest of people wanting to come to build apartments and things like that.
People, I remember is that people wanted to use it to build townhouses.
Yeah, they wanted to
but
make
they'd rezoned it so the number of houses you could get on it was almost halved. Basically.
They were making it a green space zone, so you had to have you had
There was
much more
limits
spaces, and you can. So instead of being able to put a whole lot of townhouses together, it would be way smaller. And he said, so he basically said, all the interest I had, all these people, all these investors, all these developers, they just all they've dropped off. And he said, don't do it. And I'm like, but my spirit felt that was the right date. So against all the flow, now gratefully we were the captain in this one, that we could say, even though he said don't do it, we said...
That was the professional opinion.
Yeah, the professional opinion was don't do it. Don't go this way. Change. Can't, pull back, try and work something else out. And I was like, I just feel this date is right.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, so they go ahead with it. And I remember we were sitting around at the table the morning of the auction, and they're at the real estate agents. It was me and Graham and Shoal, the officers at the time, and he was whiteboarding, and he said, "Now we've got this. This is what we're aiming for. This is the amount that we just. If you don't get that, we're not going ahead.
Yep. All
right. What's that figure? Here's the figure that we'd like. Here's the figure that'd be great." And then he said, and I think he called it the Tats Lotto number. If you won Tats Lotto, if you just had the Tats. So he's writing it up there, and I said, excuse me, I said, can we just change that, because I'm not having a Tats Lotto number.
Yes.
I said, can you change that and write the word favour?
Yeah.
And he looked at me like, what? And I said, can you write favour? Rub out Tats Lotto and write favour. And I said, then we're going to put a figure up there that you believe
could never happen.
Yeah.
All right. And that's our favour. And he's like, looked at me, and I said, favour, that means that's with God giving us favour.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Sure.
You're signing the check, whatever. So we did that. And this was all in light of, he was not sure we were going to get the bottom price because of how many pulled out. Anyway, it turns out we set a record for the sale of that type of property in that area. He rang his office afterwards and said, "You've just set a record," and we exceeded the favour number.
How good!
We exceeded the favour number, and he was like, And he was like, "How do you do this?" Well, so we had prayer and we had people praying and stuff. And he goes, "Can you maybe, do that for my other properties, whatever you're doing?" But it turned out it looked like that little window, which he said was no good, turned out to be somebody, or more than one person.
Because there's an option, you need two.
Yeah, you need two to bounce it up. They saw it as a window, just in time they could move before the changes. They could lock something in and they could do something. I don't know. We never found out exactly.
But they saw it as if we go big now, we can get in before the rezoning, and then our property will be the best one left.
But if you wait 2-3 weeks, it would have been, no, the rezoning is too close. It turned out to be, for us,
and they're probably
the perfect favour time.
Because they're probably then thinking, if we can get in, we'll be the final one of these sort of,
we just don't know. The real estate agent is like, what are they thinking? But they obviously are thinking different to all the other developers and are thinking different to him. And it worked out perfectly for us. And so we got that favor number. But there was an example where all the professional advice was one way, but God had sort of dropped something in our hearts. And I'm not a real estate expert, and I'm not saying we ignored.
Ignore it. Yeah.
It's not like it's the difference between gut feel, and something in my spirit. All right, it was not just like, oh, I don't want to delay it. Oh, no, it was not because it was inconvenient or anything. It was just because, you know what? I was like, that date had settled so strongly, and it was unusual.
Yeah.
That date had just dropped, and it was like, now afterwards, maybe this is why it dropped, because God needed to tell me that. There'll be other times, you might be selling your house and you can do it on the first week of the month or the last week of the month. It doesn't matter, and God will say, I can work on all those. But he sort of said, that date you need to have anchored. So, there's an example of all the things going against, and you've got to say, well, what's the Spirit of God saying? Paul saying, this is not right. I really have a sense you're gonna lose everything, the ship, and our own lives. You're messing with our lives here. And they took a vote, and they said, pilot's good, centurion's good, the captain of the ship, the owner of the ship, and they look, the harbour's not good. The majority are saying it's all good. So they decision. So we're going to go. If we can just get to that Phoenix, that's a good spot. That'd be better. That's a nicer spot.
They hoped.
And look, God is supporting us. A gentle south wind sprang up. Just what they needed. It must be God.
Yeah.
It must be God, because now we've got the wind, the only thing we don't have is Paul saying, I don't think this is right. But a gentle wind sprang up, and they thought they could carry out their purpose, so they weighed anchor and sailed close along the coast of Crete. So, look how far we're talking. We're only talking a short distance here.
Yeah.
Then you get from Cape Salmon to Phoenix, basically, is what they're wanting.
Yeah. So what So Fairhaven's to Phoenix, about 2 fingers. How long does it take to go 2 fingers? So we're talking about 75 kilometres.
That's only a couple hours. Oh, 75 kilometres. If they're going about 10 kilometres an hour, in good conditions, they're probably going about probably a day's journey.
When I looked up this a little while ago, I'm just trying to see if I got my notes on the side. My understanding is, if you're in Melbourne and Australia, you understand this.
It's about Melbourne to Geelong.
If Melbourne and Geelong. So if you're in Geelong and you say, we're going to spend the winter here. No, I don't want to spend the winter in Geelong. I can understand that. No, apologies to all the people in Geelong. They've got a football team that's annoyingly good. So, that's why I'm probably a bit negative to them. Let's sail around to Melbourne. Much better. Much proper harbour. So 70, we can do this.
Yeah.
And the wind's favourable. We can do this. Let's go. It's not that far. In a ship, that's not that far. What did they say, 10 kilometres an hour?
About 6 to 10k, and it's about 70 kilometres. So
good wind. We can do this in 6 hours. We can be there.
Probably a day's journey.
Yeah, we're 6 or 7 hours. If the breeze is favourable, if the wind is good, let's get there.
Yeah,
and
2/3 of a day.
And we'll stick close to Crete. No, we won't. We'll do the safe thing. We'll. So we've got this, people, and not long after this,
Here it comes.
a hurricane-force wind called the northeaster blew down from the island. So
The
remember,
northeaster.
so the southern wind was it was nice and gentle. Now they got the northeaster, so it's the opposite.
Yeah.
It's coming in.
So that was a known thing already, the northeaster.
Yeah, that was what you.
So they weren't thinking about that once
They
the
were
wind
trying to
came.
avoid it.
That's what they were trying to avoid. And when the ship was caught in it and could not head into the wind, we gave way to it and driven along. So we could no longer stay next to the island. It was just.
Yeah.
And we ran under the lee of a small island called Corda. Just there. Okay, so instead of being able to go up there, we
Yeah.
were trying to go up there. We're suddenly going down, and we're just giving up. We can't fight it. We were able with difficulty to get the ship's boat under control. After the crew had hoisted it aboard, they used supports to undergird the ship, fearing they would run aground on the Syrtis. Don't even know what that is.
I reckon if you go back, there's land underneath. No.
Oh yeah, Syrtis Major down here.
Yeah.
So they're concerned they're going to come down and be
End up in.
there.
Oh,
Okay, well, I've just learnt something.
there you go.
They lowered the sea anchor and thus letting themselves be driven along. The next day, because we were violently battered by the storm, they began throwing the cargo overboard.
Yeah.
Lighten the ship. You know. And on the third day, they threw the ship's gear overboard with their own hands.
That's when you know the conditions were bad.
Oh man, we're just getting rid of everything. We are in a world of
Whatever
pain.
we can, anything we
Yeah.
can.
And when neither sun nor stars appeared for many days, it's I in some of my Bible, it's like the stuff people throw off when they're in a world of pain, and it's not really the issue. And sometimes they throw off the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You know, I've got notes here. People in the world of pain often throw off going to church. It's like I've got too much pain to, and we actually need that stuff. Another thing they do is they throw off helping someone else because
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
I'm in too much difficulty to be able to help someone, and sometimes that's the very time God told you. Abraham, when he couldn't have a child, was told to pray for someone whose household was barren. Job, still under all the oppression he's under, prayed for his friends. You don't wait until you're fully sorted to minister. But sometimes we throw all these things off because of the pain in the world we're in. I can't do this, and, I'm under too much I can't give because too much financial pressure. And it's like, okay, you got to still hold on. Anyway, that's not really what it's talking about. But I think as an example, sometimes people throwing stuff off out of desperation. Sometimes you're looking at the wrong thing. Anyway, they finally, when neither sun nor stars appeared for many days, and a violent storm continued to batter us, we finally abandoned all hope of being saved. We have come to the end. We're not going. It's not going to last.
Yeah.
Since many of them had no desire to eat, Paul stood up among them and said, "Men, you should have listened to me." When the ship was struggling,
Paul's like,
when the
"Now's my time."
plane was struggling because that little black cloud had come in and gone, Josh stood up and said,
You should have listened to me.
"You should have listened to me." And not put out to sea from Crete, thus avoiding this damage and loss. Now, I advise you to keep up your courage, for there will be no loss of life among you, only the ship will be lost. He said, I am taking hold of this situation, and everybody deserves to die because of the dumb decision, but I am called. Now, I don't know why he couldn't pray for the ship to be saved, as well as the people, but he didn't, or he couldn't, or God was like, no, the ship's going to be lost. Their decision has got that influence, but I am going to preserve the people. For last night, an angel of God to whom I belong and whom I serve came to me and said, "Do not be afraid, Paul. You must stand before Caesar, and God has graciously granted you the safety of all who are sailing with you."
Paul, he already had that information. Is that what that said?
that was last night.
So
yeah.
he's letting all those things happen. Like throw this, throw that. Has he chosen when to speak and when
Yeah, we
to...
said, well, last night, he said, last night he had a dream, so I don't know,
Has he told them first thing in the morning, or has he waited till the afternoon just to let
just let him,
I like the fact that Luke's like, yes!
Amazing.
I'm with him.
Yeah.
I also think it's interesting, God just didn't say, I'm just going to protect you. He's like, Paul,
And all who are sailing.
I'm going to... You've got to be here in Rome, and if you've got to be here in Rome, then you've got to be protected. And if I'm going to protect you, I am graciously going to protect all those around you.
Yeah.
But there's a power in being where God wants you to be,
Yep.
and doing what God like.
Others will be saved too.
Yeah, it's like God says, I've got to get you to Rome because that's my plan. So it's like you can't appear before Caesar if you're dead, if you're at the bottom of the ocean. So he said, you're untouchable because my plan is keeping you. My purpose is keeping you. So that's one of the powers of being in his plan. It just means, well, the enemy's doing what he can, but God's told me I'm going to be here. Do your best, because you can't stop that.
Yeah.
Because God has said this is what we're going to do.
Yep.
Therefore, keep up your courage, men, for I have faith in God that will be just as I have been told. And that is really the key. Paul could look at all the this was in the middle of the storm. Often these stories are easy to read because you read it at the aftermath, but in the middle, in the middle of it, the day we got the information that they'd changed the thing, it was actually I think it was a Friday night, Friday afternoon. I can still remember in the church. I was just driving off from the old church property. I was in the car, and hadn't quite pulled out of the car park, and I got a phone call from the real estate agent. And he said, "Are you sitting down?" Right? That could be good or bad. And I was in the car. Car was, I hadn't driven off, so I was sitting in the car park. I said, "Yeah, why? What's?" And he goes, "We've just found out that they've rezoned." And he was racked with fear.
Yeah.
The real estate agent was exuding fear. For this is no good. He said, I've been trying to make inquiries. He said, all my developers are just pulling out all afternoon. Just pulling out, and he's like, he was racked in fear, all right, and so I remember because I went to watch a cricket match. I'm going to guess you were playing cricket.
Yeah, I would have been playing juniors back then.
Playing junior cricket on a Friday night. So Christine sent me off to, I told the officers, we started to, but we didn't have to make any decisions straight away. But he had said, let's cancel. I said, let's not do anything. I went to cricket, and I remember I sat there. And I put on headphones and I listened to Keith Moore preaching about faith. And you were playing cricket, and I was getting charged in faith. I was listening, and something was rising up, and something was rising up. Then used to have a Saturday night meeting back then.
Yeah.
And so I went to a Saturday night meeting. As we were worshipping God in that Saturday night meeting, a word of the Lord came to us as a congregation. I hadn't told the congregation yet because I wanted to get my heart and the leadership heart. We did, because otherwise we're going to be like the real estate agent. Fear.
Yeah.
We're going to.
It is
Yeah,
passing
good.
on the fear. Yeah.
So I was like, no. And so I didn't say anything. I said, we're just going to worship God. We're just going to minister to God.
Yeah.
And just do it. And the word of the Lord came to us. It says, God's got your back. God's got your back. And we began to sing it. God's got our back. God's got. And the congregation got no idea what we're talking. And I'm like, God's got our back. God's got our back.
That was real.
Yeah, it was very real. Because God's got our back. He said, I've got your back. I've got this. Stay with what I've showed you. Don't deviate.
Yeah.
I've got your back. I've got your back. That word
That changed everything.
changed everything.
Yeah.
So we stayed with that. And that's why we didn't change the date. That's why we got our favoured amount.
Yeah.
Because God had our back.
Made the record.
God's got our back. God's got our back.
Yeah.
And Paul's like, God's got my back. He knows where he's taking me.
Yeah.
He knows what's happening. And I've asked for everybody to be saved. Because if I'm going to be saved, why not everybody else?
Yeah.
So, but he said, he had this information, we must run aground on an island. So somehow they said, I'm going to save you, but you're going to be shipwrecked. Sometimes I look at verses like this and say, could we do it without the shipwreck?
Could the winds have just settled or be
Yeah,
favourable?
yeah. Jesus said, "Peace be still."
Yeah.
The storm stopped.
Yep.
Why couldn't we have a peace be still moment here? Why couldn't we get to wherever we're going and you supernaturally not only protect the people and me, but you get us to a harbour where we can get safe? Why do we have... And that's the logic part of my brain trying to kick in at times and trying to work it all out and saying, you know, God, if you could do this, well, why can't you do that? And it moves from faith to just me trying to be in
Trying
control.
to think, there's a. I remember hearing a sermon many years ago called "I Didn't See That Coming." I reckon it was called.
Yeah.
Looking it up now. Yeah, by Pastor Darius Daniels. It was preached at Elevation Church.
Yeah.
He's not from that church. He was speaking about the Israelites in the wilderness and the story of manna and everything like that. And really good sermon if you ever want to go back and listen to it from my memory. I really enjoyed it. But he has a really good quote near the start where he says, God's actions are not always predictable, but his character is always reliable.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great way of looking at seeing things like this. It's like, why is it one time Jesus is able to calm the storm and another time the storm has to destroy the ship, but he saves the people, and then another time this happens, and then this, you know, it's like why do these things have to happen? And we can try and come up with all these reasons of, he needed it because they needed to learn this lesson. It's like, stop trying to figure out the why, know the who. And it was like, it's such a good power. It's like, in things like this, like, his methods might be unpredictable, but his character is reliable. And when you know the character of God, you don't have to worry about trying to figure out the actions.
So
the actions don't have to prove it because you know who he is.
You say, God, well, I don't know why, but I know that God has said he's going to take care of us. And he's told us it's going to happen. So I trust him.
And the thing is, whatever happens, whether it's good or bad, like that God will use, it's for his glory.
Yeah.
And so it could have been all okay from that point. But actually, they went through sort of the most sort of terrible situation, but it was for his glory.
Yeah.
And that's what he was doing.
And so sometimes people will come to you, and one of the classic examples is, as soon as you say, "Oh, God wants to heal you," well, why don't you just go and empty the hospitals? If you can bring healing, go and empty the hospitals, because that's like the mind kicks in and the logic and you say, "Oh, yeah, why can't I?"
That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. You know, and it's like, well, it's because it's not just often as straightforward as that. There's a whole lot of factors in terms of people's faith, people's responsibilities. People think God does want people healed. He does. You know, he never turned anyone away who came to him in faith. So he wants, but he went to his hometown and couldn't heal many there because they didn't believe in him. Yeah. They stumbled over him.
What was it in I feel like this is such a classic example, but I forget which of the Gospels it is when Jesus casts out the demon. I think it's like, and the disciples are like, why couldn't we? And he's like, this can only comes by prayer and fasting. And it's like,
why couldn't we do that? Doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. It's like, no, but he's like, no, there's other things at play here. And I think it's like I think a good example for me is obviously with my ankle when you know, I snapped my ankle last year. It was really serious. My leg was literally backwards, and then the three of us are there and we prayed and we literally saw God like swing my whole leg around back into alignment, straighten bones. Like, I can't remember whether the skin was pierced or not, but like the foot was sideways, it came back, the bones were realigned, I got feeling back in the foot instantly, all these things. But then the bone was still broken, I still need to have surgery. And I'm like, God, why couldn't you just heal everything? Why did I still have to have the surgery?
I still remember sitting there like, okay, what do we do now?
Yeah, it's like, do we call an ambulance still? Like, what's the go here, guys?
Yeah, so we took 5 or 10 minutes praying, and Jay's like, I've still got pain here.
I still feel to call an ambulance.
I can't put any weight on it. And so we prayed another 10 minutes and said, well, we'll now work out in the ambulance. But because God had worked supernaturally, and then it was like, but he hasn't done. You know,
is he going to stand up now?
Yeah, it's like now, and we're testing this and believing. No, now we've got to. Josh and I have to carry him up from the bottom of a waterfall up this.
We've got to get it out of the water first.
And we're like,
We're calling it.
This ain't happening.
Yeah, it was steep, like stone steps, and we're all wet by this one. Like, yeah, let's call an ambulance.
I was trying to keep my shoes good.
Yeah,
so yours were
I
ruined.
just ruined my nasty Nike Air.
But yeah,
Maxes,
it's like,
which I'd bought.
if you can do this, why not this? And we don't always have all the pieces. But Paul said we must run aground on some island. So
Yeah.
okay.
And I think it's one where it's like, I think this is the thing. To ask those questions, I would, in a lot of areas where it's like, because I don't know the answer, I don't want to ask the question,
Yeah.
God, why couldn't you heal
Yeah.
this, you know? And normally I don't ask those questions because I'm scared of the answer.
Yeah.
You know, because
you're probably scared of God saying because you didn't have enough faith.
well, not even that. It's like in other areas, you don't ask the questions where you don't think, where I don't trust what the answer's going to be.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, okay, you know, you hear your company's downsizing. No one wants to ask, am I safe? Because I don't know. I'd rather just sort of, at the moment, I'm not fired, so I'd rather just stay in this. Like, I don't want to ask the question because I don't want to know what the
Yeah.
I don't trust there to be a good answer on the other side. God is the one thing where it's like, he's never afraid of any question because he's God. So I remember Stephen Furtick saying from Elevation Church, he's like, there is no question he should ever be he's like, God's not afraid of any question. God's not afraid of your confusion. So he's like, don't hide it from God because he's like, God is powerful enough. He's like, no matter what has happened in your life, God can handle talking about it because he's God. He's like, because the answer will always be good if it's God. So you know you can go to him and things will work out. But that doesn't mean we have to come away with clarity or always, you know, it's like...
Sometimes God just trust me.
Sometimes God just says, trust me. And that's the thing I learned in this season was like, okay, you know what? Sometimes there's, you know, you know the phrase like there's a method to the madness.
Yeah.
So the thing where like you see someone, I feel like with God, it's there's a madness to the method. It's like so it's like there's a method. It's like it's wild, but I'm gonna trust him, and it all works out in the end. And it's like I don't know how much is me, how much is him. What is this divine plan? What are the things that could have been avoided? What shouldn't have been avoided? What did he want me to avoid? But it's like I just learned when you trust him and just every step of the way just say, well, I'm going to do whatever I think in this moment draws me closer to God.
Yeah.
Things work themselves out. It figures itself out. It's like when I stop trying to figure out, oh, what's this master grand plan and stuff, and I just say, in this moment, what's the right thing that's going to draw me closer to? I've sort of, you know, when like in life you're trying to like figure out like, oh, what is it I believe? What do I stand for? You try and figure all that stuff out when you're like sort of getting older and like maturing. And I remember trying to figure those things out and like trying to figure what are my life lessons that I want to live by. And I sort of realized it's just one. And I've come to the decision that whenever I'm faced with a crossroad, I'll choose the path that draws me a little bit that draws me closer to Jesus. And it's like, doesn't matter what the paths are, doesn't matter how big the crossroad is. When I face a crossroad, if I pick that, eventually things just figure themselves out. And it's like, I think it's a bit like that. It's like in those moments where it's like, hey, why do I have to be shipwrecked? Well, if God's saying that, then I'm gonna do what's gonna draw me closer to him in this moment.
Yeah.
And then things will figure themselves out, you know?
So we've got Paul now with a word, and I choose to trust God. He says, I believe God, but we've got to run aground. Okay. When the 14th night had come, while we were being driven across the Adriatic Sea, about midnight. So Adriatic. There you go. It doesn't mention it there.
Adriatic's up here.
Yeah. So yeah, they definitely weren't up there. So I'm guessing it must be
The Ionian Sea.
Yeah.
Maybe notice that.
There you go. I'll just have a look at the other map. Sea of Adria. Okay, so this time it only mentions that whole area.
Yeah, okay.
But they also went under Cyprus, so we don't try that. So they're driven across there, and about midnight, the sailors suspected they were approaching some land. I love this; like it's all detail. Lots of detail.
Yeah.
Luke was making notes. And they took soundings and found their water was 20 fathoms deep. When they sailed a little further, they took soundings again and found it was 15 fathoms deep. Because they were afraid of what they would run aground on the rocky coast, they threw out 4 anchors from the stern, and which for day to appear. Oh, we just want day to come. Oh, my day. Let us see daylight.
Yeah.
When the sailors tried to escape from the ship and were lowering the ship's boat into the sea, pretending that they were going to put out anchors from the bow, Paul said to the centurion, I love the fact that I would start with that sentence. The sailors pretending that they were going to put out anchors and lower the ship. Sorry. The way they write things is back to front. Anyway, won't criticise their English because I'm not in a healthy spot to criticise someone's grammar. Paul said to the centurion and the soldiers, unless these men stay with the ship, you cannot be saved. Now, last time it was, let's check with the captain, let's check with the owner, let's check with the democracy, let's check with the conditions. This time it's like, Paul has said it. These men the soldiers cut the ropes.
Yeah. Ain't no one disagreeing with Paul now.
What a difference.
Yeah.
What a difference 14 days can
Paul
make.
said, look at me. I am your captain now.
I am the captain now.
And they let the boat drift away, which was a dangerous thing, but it was...
Yeah. It was still the one thing that they had at that moment.
He said, as day was about to dawn, Paul urged them all to take some food, saying, today is the 14th day you have been in suspense and have gone without food. You have eaten nothing. Therefore, I urge you to take some food, for this is important for your survival. For not one of you will lose a hair from his head. And after he said this, Paul took the bread, gave thanks to God in front of them, broke it, began to eat. That's just,
Wow, I did not realize how many people were on that ship until reading verse 37.
Yep. So all of them were encouraged and took food themselves, and we were all 276 persons.
Oh, wow.
I would have thought like 30. I would have thought
Yeah.
like a 30 person.
That's what I would have thought, and it's just like
270.
I
chaos.
always thought 276.
But I think it's one where we were 230.
275, 277.
Like
That ballpark figure.
I would have thought a much smaller.
Yeah, there's a big boat.
And it shows the miracle of it. Like you've gone through a storm for 14 days without anyone eating,
Yeah.
and everyone's struggling, and somehow they haven't lost a single life
Yeah.
out of 276.
No one's been
people.
washed overboard. And,
No one washed overboard. No one,
They should have been sunk. It's just stayed afloat. Now, there is no evidence that it's going to finish. They're still in it. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Everything's changed because everyone's agreeing with Paul, but the
situation
hasn't changed.
Yeah.
All right, they're in danger of crashing and smashing their boat up because they're still in a storm. They're not. It's not free. And but I like what Paul did. He said, guys, let's do for today in preparation for tomorrow. Let's act today in what we believe for tomorrow. So let's eat. Sometimes you got to eat for today in preparation for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Even though you're in the storm, you do what you do.
I think it's
you do outside the storm stuff now.
Yep.
In preparation.
Yeah, what
That's
a
good.
powerful concept. It's it's something God has really been stirring in my heart sort of thing. Sometimes with miracles you're praying for, particularly when it feels like sort of hopeless or never ending, and it's like, if tomorrow the miracle came, how would I want, when I get to the other side, what will I be grateful that I did today?
Yes,
How would I be grateful? Like, I'm glad I acted that way. I'm glad I said that. I'm glad I prayed that prayer. I'm glad I chose to read my Bible in that moment. I'm glad I did this, because then you never know what something. Not even saying that'll be the catalyst of it, but it's just like, what do I want to be on? Who do I want to be when I get there?
Sometimes it'd be like, okay, my foot's in a cast.
Yeah.
But I'm getting my shoes ready.
Yeah. Things. Yeah, I like that.
I'm putting laces in,
Yeah.
getting them ready, shiny. Used to be shiny shoes, but no one shines their shoes anymore. It's like, I am preparing for that, which at the moment it doesn't look like it, but I am doing that. I am giving myself strength and nourishment because I will need this. Do you know what I mean? They'd lost hope. Remember they said we lost hope. When they lost hope, they were feeling so sick and so nauseous in the storm, and everyone had given up on eating because why eat? We're all dying.
Yeah.
And then so now Paul's like, no, we are not dying.
Yeah.
And so therefore we are going to eat. He broke bread, gave thanks for it, and it said they all got strength and courage and they ate. All right.
That's good.
So look, it says all of them were encouraged and took food themselves. And so there's 276. And when they had eaten enough to be satisfied, they lightened the ship by throwing the wheat into the sea. Get rid of the food now. We don't need this anymore. And when day came, they did not recognize the land, but they noticed a bay with a beach where they could decide to run the ship aground if they could. Let's see if we can sail up onto that. So they slipped the anchors and left them in the sea at the same time, loosening the linkage that bound the steering oars together. He liked his sea talking.
Yeah.
Then they hoisted the foresail to the wind and steered toward the beach, but they encountered a patch of cross currents and ran the ship aground. The bow stuck fast and could not be moved, but the stern was being broken up by the wind force of the waves, so they jammed and the boats. Now the soldiers' plan was to kill the prisoners. So Paul's not the only prisoner.
Yeah.
So that none of them would escape by swimming away. Thanks, guys. But the centurion, wanting to save Paul's life, prevented them from carrying out their plan. He ordered those who could swim to jump overboard first and get to land, and the rest were to follow, some on planks and some on pieces of the ship. And in this way, and I think this is like a summary verse, and in this way, all were brought safely to land. We got there. All of them, everybody got there safely. Shouldn't have, couldn't have without God intervening, but we all made it to the land. How good is God? And so now that we reached safely the shore, we learned that the island was called Malta.
So I didn't know.
There we are, way over there. They were planning to go here, and they've ended up over there. The local inhabitants showed us extraordinary kindness, for they built a fire and welcomed us all because it had started to rain and was cold. And when Paul had gathered a bundle of brushwood, so he's out serving, helping people, and was putting it on the fire, a viper came out because of the heat and fastened itself on his hand. And when the local people saw the creature hanging from Paul's hand, they said to one another,
Must be evil.
"No doubt this man is a murderer." Karma. People believe in karma, They've like, yep. Although he's escaped from the sea, justice herself has not allowed him to live. Can I? Now this it says because that type of snake was highly venomous. People believe that you're going to die. If I was Paul, just gone through this huge storm for 14 days, I've led them all, people. I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing the nice thing. I get some sticks. And a highly venomous snake comes out and bites me. It's like, come on!
What now? Why?
Seriously? Seriously? And I know that there is a pile-on effect of problems we go through sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This happened. And if it was just 1 or 2 or 3, I'm all good. But it's 4, 5, 6. And then there's a point where I start to get test fatigued.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I pray for you. Oh, come on. Now, or just something like, I'm doing this, and then I swing around and I break my toe. It's like, come on. You know what I mean? Get a letter. Of all the times we've reviewed your insurance, and we've decided you need to pay 50% more. Come on! I've just been battling here, and now this is happening. I don't know whether you ever get the come on.
What now?
What? But look at Paul. I love Paul. Paul shook the creature off into the fire. He's like, get off.
He's like, God's gonna get me to Rome. It's fine.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm going to Rome. Stupid snake. Get off.
What are you doing here?
I feel like there's such a... Just thinking through it now, it's like... When you read stories like this, what Paul went through, and it's like the pain, the suffering, the testing, as you said, and it's like... We have these moments like, do I want to go through these moments or not, and like, where is it? What book is it in? It's in one of Paul's later letters where he's like, basically, to die would be to gain. It's like, to live is Christ, to die is gain. Because
Philippians,
like, and maybe it's not one of it. Like, where it's like, if I would, like, it'd be great to die because then I could just get to heaven and be done with it all, But it's like, but I have to endure this.
Yeah, I'm here for you.
I'm here for you all because I have to get to Rome, and to die would be to gain, but I'm not allowed to yet. Basically,
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to die now.
it's like, but Paul sort of like there's times where there's that mentality, and I get those thoughts like, oh, do I want to live life in that sort of that way? And it's like, how does that work? And like, I feel like it's something I've really struggled trying to understand for so long in my life is like the whole, as Christians and as people who believe in the faith, like I truly believe in the message of faith and the message of prosperity and things like that. It's like, how do I tie that into things like this, what Paul is going through and seeing what Paul did?
Yeah.
And then it's like, but I'm out here believing for God's healing, or I'm believing for provision, or I'm believing to live in prosperity and live in nice, good lands and stuff. Like, that's in the Bible, and I want to do that. But then there's this, and it's like I feel like there's sort of two mentalities. You either see people who like become obsessed with the testing. The people they talked about where they'd wear the clothes to make themselves feel the pain because it's like that's the only way they can feel
the hair shirts.
The hair shirts because they're just trying to make themselves feel like they're doing the right thing by God, and it's like, people who obsess over like, oh, the suffering's good because it means I'm closer to God, or God's teaching me a lesson, and it's like, yeah, God does those things, and then there's the other side, which is people who are like, I've known people, particularly people often who have grown up in the faith ministry, who like hate this season and become really bitter or angry. Like I remember becoming one of my life verses is in the Bible. I believe it's this. I feel like it's one of my life verses. I know it off the heart, but I couldn't even tell you what book it's in. Like I know it's in one of Paul's letters to them, but like where he talks about he's like, I've learnt the secret of living with plenty and the secret of living.
Yeah, again, Philippians 4.
Philippians 4. It's like
contentment.
I've learnt the secret of living in much and living in little, living in
prosperity
and living in lack. And the thing I remember me and Dad, we had a conversation earlier this year. We were talking about that, and we realized it's the same secret. He's like, it's because it says I can do all things through God who strengthens me, and it's like he's not saying I know how to live when I'm in good, and then I know how to live. And it's like I live the same way no matter what season I'm in. I live because God. It's the same God who strengthens me, and I can do the same thing, all things through the same God. And it's like, I think that's how you get through these seasons of like, hey, it's like, oh, is this good?
Yeah.
It's like, I reckon you could, I remember there's a great book, Adrian Plass.
Yeah.
It's a Christian comedy book where it's written in the form of a diary. And at the end, one of the last stories, and it's a very funny book, highly recommend it. And he's talking about, they've got this Christian camp that they go to every year. And it's like this super long named camp, and all the churches go to it. And it's been like every day it's been pouring down with rain, and all their tents are being blown away. And it's like they normally take a caravan, but they decided they want to rough it out in a tent and live. It's like he's imagining waking up every morning, having a cup of tea, reading his Bible. Like it's been raining every night, so they have to keep putting the tent, recheck the tent. It's like all these things are happening. And he's like, there's this conversation, like two of these young Christians, like one of them saying like, oh, the rain is God's way of showing that he's displeased with us and that it's like we're out of the will of God and we need to stop this camp. He's like, the other one's like, no, this is God's way of confirming that it's like through trials and tribulations we're doing the right thing. Like then one of the other camps is like maybe it's the fact that they're holding in the middle of winter and it's always raining in this season. They need to change it to summer. And it's like, it could be a bit of that. It's like, oh, is Paul going through this a sign that he's out of the will of God? No, it's a sign that he's in the will of God. Like maybe it's because they try to maybe they say
nothing to do with the will of God.
No, I'm not saying with Paul. He was like Christians could go through this and like spend so much of their time trying to decide, is this God's confirmation or is this God's issue with us? It's like maybe it's the fact that it's like maybe it's the fact that you forgot to charge the batteries on the lights before you left, and it's like this actually, but it's so it doesn't matter which one it is. It's the same thing. Just trust God, love God, let God love you, and see what He does.
I can remember one time. I think we were preparing for a big meeting. Like Brother Jerry was coming, and it was like so much to be done, and I was under pressure, and I was like, I've got to get this, and I've got to print this stuff, and then I remember it was printing, and then the printer jammed, and I was like, and I actually remember going, oh come on, God, I could use a little help down here. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and it's on the foolishness of like, I'm carrying this, God, and it'd be nice if you, if you sort of did your part, you can at least make the printer work. Like I don't have time, I just don't have the ability. But at that moment, I realized when I'm turning on God and like, God, a little help here, I'm like, this is all this is
Out of
all
whack.
out of whack. Something is seriously wrong. I am busy doing your work, but I am now frustrated that I don't have God. And Paul didn't get there's like a little help here, God. I could do with all. He's like, oh, what's that doing? Stupid thing. and I think that's the part that is through all this. It's like, and it could have just gone south at the very end, but it's just like Paul just shook it off. And I think
it's the same trust in God.
yeah, Paul's like, yeah. And I love what it says then. They were expecting he was going to swell up or suddenly drop dead.
Yeah.
So after they waited a long time and seen nothing unusual happen to him, they changed their mind and said he was a god. And it's like, people are so
Quite a
fickle.
swing.
People are so fickle.
Yeah.
Hey, I love it. I love it when Paul, in the first missionary journey, when he healed the guy, and they said he was a god, and he said, "No, I'm not a god." He said, "You got to turn." I said, "You got to turn from these stupid idols to the living God." And they're like, "Well, now you're not a god. Now we're going to kill you." So he went Paul's gone from a god to be killed. He's a bad man to be killed. He must be a god. People are just a bit fickle. So in the region there was a place where fields belonged to the chief official of the island named Publius, who welcomed us and entertained us hospitably as guests for 3 days. And the father of Publius lay sick in bed, suffering from fever and dysentery. Lots of information there, Luke. Paul went in to see him, and after praying, placed his hands on him and healed him. After this had happened, many of the people on the island who were sick also came and were healed. They also bestowed many honours, and when we were preparing to sail, they gave us all the supplies we needed. What a turnaround! Now Paul is just totally in charge.
Yeah.
Remember when Paul said, "You're going to lose everything, and even our lives," and they're like, "No," and then God, and they still disobeyed, and an angel came and said, "Paul, you've got to go to Rome, but I've granted your request. Everyone else is going to be saved too, but I can't save all the stuff. All right, I can't save everything." God's like, it wouldn't be nice to save all the stuff, but look at this. Now Paul is so blessed through the ministry of healing that they give him a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
They
got their supplies.
Got all the supplies. Paul's like, see, God's got it all, people.
Yes.
If you just trust in Him. And then after 3 months, we put out to sea in an Alexandrian ship that had wintered at the island. It had been smart.
Yeah.
And the Heavenly Twins as its figurehead. We put in at Syracuse and stayed there 3 days. Cast off and arrived at Rhegium. And after 1 day, a south wind sprang up. And on the second day, we came to Puteoli. We're getting to Italy. Puteoli. Sounds like a dish. Then we found some brothers and were invited to stay with them 7 days. And this way we came to Rome. What a journey! Like even there, lots of details and names and places and things like that. So why did Luke write this? I just wonder whether it was to show that with everything that came against, even as Paul as a prisoner, totally out of control, totally with no, God still had him, and not only him, everybody else that then under that sphere, and then God used it miraculously to have a healing time. God used it to provide them, and I just think it just sort of it's just a picture of God's hand on them, getting them through, trusting in Him, even when things are really going south. And you said it so. And can I just say, even when things are really unfair, it was not Paul's decision. Yeah. Paul actually said, "Don't do it." Yeah. And he's forced in it. Now Paul has to go through a storm for 14 days. Paul could have said, I've prayed and I've said, God, I was the only one that resisted you, so let them all die. Yeah. If they all die, it's their own fault. He was very merciful and he said, I can't save the ship, can't save the stuff, but come on, let's all eat. We're going to be fine. God's told me I'm going to be here. Yeah. Then the snake thing is just to me like, just shake it off. Just shake it off. Shake it off. Is there a song, Shake It Off? Or something?
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting that reference in here.
Pastor Peter of all people.
Dropping us. There's out a closeted Swiftie over here.
I didn't realise Taylor Swift was singing a song about Apostle Paul.
Yeah.
I do not endorse Taylor Swift.
Cut the dude. That's
So, but my brain has been influenced by a Taylor Swift song that I didn't even know.
No.
But Porter shook it off,
yeah.
and that's okay. All right, if I'm getting heat, if I'm getting all exasperated and upset, I'm in the wrong place.
That's like, okay, something happened. All right, yeah, it happened. Don't let it sink in. Don't let it take effect. Don't give it the time of day. Don't let it settle in you. Shake it off right now. Don't give it a chance.
Yeah.
That's what Paul did.
I remember I went to I was part of a board, not church board. This was another organisation, not a church, and but there was Christians. They were good people, and we're going through some things, doing the right thing, but legal challenges and stuff that was going along. I remember turning up at a board meeting and a letter had arrived, like bombshell letter, like right before, like half an hour before the thing. So I turn up the board meeting. I'm like, yeah, what are we going to do? And the chairman, and I'm like, okay. So, and I thought the whole board meeting will be about how are we going to answer this letter? What are we going to do this letter? How are we going to respond to this letter? So I'm like, this is what our board meeting, we had things planned and an agenda. No, now it's going to be just about this letter. And the very first thing he did, he took the letter and he went like that. Okay, let's just get on with business. And I'm like, what about the letter? And he's like, we don't have to do anything. And I suddenly realised, we don't? He said, no, they were telling us we had to get this legal thing and do this. He said, if they want legal advice, they can pay for it themselves. We're not doing any of it. We're not doing anything that they're asking. That's irrelevant. Now, what is our agenda? What are we doing? And I'm like, can we do that? We are allowed to just take, and you know what? That was exactly what we needed to do. That letter had no effect because it had no effect because we gave it no effect.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It said, you need to do this, 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 and this, and this. Even if we had reacted and written a letter back, we would have been responding to that out of the wrong thing. We didn't have to do anything. They can tell us to jump, they can tell us to run, but they had
no power.
Yeah, they can say anything they want, but that's not who. We don't listen to you. We've got our own advice. We've got our own lawyers. We do what we know the right thing.
Sometimes
to do.
the devil has the power that you give him.
Yeah, and so sometimes it's like I empower it because I'm so reacting to it. Even if I'm reacting against it, I'm still empowering it by acknowledging it. But if someone's banging on the front door. And I go, oh, okay, I'll just keep eating. Someone's banging at the front door. Yeah, just ignore them. They'll go away eventually. It's like, but what about the person? Well, if I go and open in to talk to them, they're going to fight me. You know what I mean? I'll just leave the door shut. I got a good door. Let's eat.
Yeah.
And so sometimes the devil comes in and says, just, man, you're annoying. But into the fire you go. Let's move on. And then he did a healing ministry. So that would probably be my bottom line is just trust God, just move forward, and when the stuff comes, shake it off. God's got, just remember, God's got a plan for you. And there's a whole lot of people been writing comments.
Some of the ones who've had some amazing stuff coming through from different people this morning from Brooke saying,
she wrote something about meekness, and I'm not sure why. Yeah,
she said something at the start about meekness is having the opportunity to publicly discuss someone misspelling a word in a Facebook comment, but choosing not to. But I don't know why we should bring that up at the start. Mark, going back to Brooke here, God gave us our rhema word. It's like when Jesus told the disciples that they were going to the other side. Even when the storm arose, they already had the rhema word and promise. Yeah, so it's so true. Mark said God is always giving us an opportunity to draw closer to Him.
Yeah, that's good.
I think sometimes God is actually showing me things that are in my heart that I didn't even know or understand in order for me to ask Him for wisdom. I love this. Jesus asked His disciples more questions than they asked Him. It's so true. Like sometimes Jesus is things we don't understand.
Never thought about that.
But I really like that
That's
concept.
Powerful,
Brooke saying here, so powerful. I've caught myself praying for a situation and trying to remind God that it would be good for His reputation if he didn't come. It wouldn't be good for His reputation if He didn't come through. And then I'm reminded that God cares about my life, my family, my church, my city way more than I ever do. but I'm using the trump card of God's reputation because I'm actually thinking about my reputation for having prayers answered.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm like, it's so true.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think it's one of those ones where like, it's good to stop worrying about things that don't worry God.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, learning to not be flustered about things that don't annoy and fluster God. It's like, it's a good, it's like the whole, you know, like even that's like, oh God, what's it going to look like if you don't come through? It's like, I haven't really thought about it. It's like, okay, probably means I shouldn't be thinking about, you know, like, this is a bit of a random example. We talked a few weeks ago from 1 Corinthians 12. No, the one where it's all about like the can you wear hats in church and who, you know, I said can you wear hats? No, but like the one where we talked all about that stuff, and Paul was sort of giving an answer. The whole thing read in the sort of vibe of Paul like, I really haven't given this as much thought as you guys. Obviously, you guys are having a lot more to debate about this. Like, really hasn't been on my radar. But like, I guess these are my thoughts on it, sort of thing. And it's like, if that happens, it's like it's great to get an answer, but it's also like, okay, maybe there's a reason. It's like maybe there's a reason it hasn't come up because it's not as important.
That's why we look back. Go back. Look at the one that we did the book of Ephesians on.
Yeah. Because
that was written not so much as a to the Ephesian church.
No, it was just to the.
It was to the churches, and the Ephesian church would get a copy of this letter as well.
Yeah.
That was
the reason.
I think that was the opposite of Paul. The Corinthian church was Paul having to write what he needed to write because they were dealing with stuff, and he's had to come up with answers. The letter to the Ephesians is what Paul...
It's on my heart.
What's on his heart, what he's thinking about, the things that he's focused on. And it's like, read the book of Ephesians and you sort of find, he's talking about, let's get our big vision. Let's see how good big God is. Let's just do this. Let's do this. God is so big. Let's pray that God will open our understanding, the love and the height, the breadth, the depth of God's love, how good it is. God wants to do more than what we were asking. You know, it's like... That's the things that Paul's really wanting to get onto, and so sometimes if we get some distracted and we're trying to do things, God's like, yeah, okay, I'll deal with that, but come on, this is what I really get excited about.
That's right, it's good.
So, well, thank you everybody, and I just thought we would take a bit of an excursion. Down
No, it was really good.
Because Luke did. There's no other reason except Luke decided this was a good story to tell. I'm guessing possibly because Luke was on the boat, and
probably was a memorable experience for Luke, and he's like,
made
y'all need to know what I went through.
Yeah.
276, he knew that he had written made notes.
And we experienced this, we went here.
But I think in the bigger picture, I think he's just showing the fact that...
Whatever happened,
Paul
trusted you.
And you can get a whole lot of people against you, you can have circumstances that look bad or good.
You can have continual things going worse and worse and worse and worse.
But hold on to God, and... in doing that, not only you get saved, but you bring on a whole lot of people with you. The whole boat was rescued for that. The captain lost his ship, but he listened to the wrong advice. But God was good, resupplied, new ship, and off they went. And Paul ended up in Rome. And the funny thing is, he gets to Rome. It's all about pillar season, and when he gets there, like the Romans, like we don't even know what this is about. You know, the church leaders of not the church leaders, but the Jewish leaders of Rome are like, we haven't even heard about you. We got what we don't even know what this is about. This is obviously nothing. And so Paul said, well, let me tell you the gospel. Let me share the gospel with you. But God wanted him there, and so. Just trust you've enjoyed.
I've loved it.
It's so good.
It's been fun. This is what I love about this year of Academy. Like, if this is our third year doing Academy, year 3, year 3, I think. And like, I've loved every series we've done, but this has been the one where we've really had to dive into things that there isn't a space to dive into some of the stuff we've dived into in Academy this year outside of something like Academy, and it's been great. Like, this is like there's really good foundational teaching and foundational principles that are in there, but you can't really do a Sunday sermon on what we've just gone through.
And you can't use your fingers to try and measure.
And we can't do the measurements and stuff like. But we did that in Academy. Is such a great place for that, and I loved having the time this year to really dive into Acts and the whole New Testament and see all the intricate details and really take that time to develop it in my mind. It's been awesome.
Well, thank you.
It's been a good year.
It has been. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I've enjoyed.
I'm hoping this isn't the last week of Acts. I don't think.
Well,
we're getting to the end of Acts.
We are up. We've entered into chapter 28. We've skipped a couple of the letters that he wrote during this time. We didn't. He's written a letter to Rome already before this.
Romans.
The letter, the book called Romans. The letter to the Hebrews was also written in this stage.
Have we done Galatians?
Galatians right at the first one.
Galatians first.
Yep,
Have we done Philippians or not?
No, and
I'd be
so
keen
then,
to do Philippians. That's
so
my
then,
favorite.
and then there was a few letters, and we sort of skipped the First Timothy because we wanted to do Titus, mainly because he was going past Crete, so we jumped ahead a little bit to the letters that he wrote to them.
Crete.
But they were sort of written after
He'd done that.
Acts, and so a lot of letters were written after Acts at the end. Philippians, Colossians,
Second Timothy.
Philemon,
Second.
Philemon,
Second Corinthians was
First, Second, and Third John.
was Second Corinthians.
Yeah, Second Corinthians right at the end. Yeah, so First Corinthians was written during
Yeah.
Acts. So we sort of tried to cover the ones that were sort of Acts was current, and some of the places are mentioned like Philippi, but the letter was not written till later. And so we can maybe look at those just as sort of as a closing off of the letter.
Look at the rest of
And
the
then
New
you've got
Testament.
things, we've got letters of James and Peter and John, which are a lot of them were written later. And like I said, maybe the Hebrews. Maybe we can just stop sometime and just look at Hebrews because that's
Hebrews itself is a.
but Hebrews is not really related to the Book of Acts.
No.
You know what I mean? And so it's you see the similarities of the Jewish issues that he faced with Galatians and Romans. So the issues he faced are.
We might.
But
it might be one where it transfers into less of a like it started in the study of Acts and now becomes more like a study of the life of Paul and all looking at all of his letters and stuff because that's sort of a follow on from Acts and it gives like that's why before I was saying how it's like I couldn't remember which book it was in Philippians 4 where it's like I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It's like because I don't see him as I see them as letters of Paul and like the more I've read about them like they're ones where they like First Corinthians it really separates itself in my mind. First the book to Thessalonians, that one separates itself because of the understanding of where it was in the book of Acts and who they were. I really see that one separate now. But a lot of the other ones, I'm like, what I've done is I feel like I've just learnt more about the heart of Paul and more understood the life of Paul. And I mean, I don't remember where it is, but like I know, I can tell it's him because of who it is writing it, and his heart. So I love that aspect as well.
It's been so good.
It's been great fun.
Yeah, so we'll see if we might.
We'll see where we go.
We might do a few letters. Chapter 28. We're right at the end.
We're right at the end of it.
So we'll just see where it goes.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us this morning. It's been so good having you all. To Judith, to Pastor Christine, to Brooke, to Mark, to Joe, to Sheba, to Kylie, to there's a few others in there I think that came in. Everyone has joined us via YouTube now who will join us via YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, this Sunday, we have the second last Sunday in our Let's Get Real series. Pastor Christine is going to be speaking. I'm really excited to hear that. It's going to be great. Then next Wednesday night, we have life groups. If you don't know what a life group is, go to that website. You can find out all about life groups. They're places where the lessons we're learning in things like Academy, you can find ways to outlive them in your life, in the practical, as we're studying in our life groups, the Let's Get Real series and saying, hey, how can we bring real help to real people? Same way Paul brought real help to those people that he was on the boat with. How can we bring real help to people? And then we'll be back here next Friday morning for Academy. Yeah. Anything I'm forgetting in that, Pastor?
I think you've done good.
Done good.
Fantastic.
Done good.
Thank you all for joining us. Enjoy your week. If you're in Melbourne, enjoy actually some nice weather
beautiful.
It's been good.
The last couple of days, it's been sunny.
Winter is breaking.
I wore sunglasses on Tuesday. I haven't worn my sun. Get the dust.
I wore shorts to work.
You wore shorts to work.
Yeah. No more pants.
Oh. It was funny. I was working because I work at a shopping centre. We have an activation happening like outside in the outside like food area, the ozone. And I was working Monday and Tuesday, and we have to wear like a suit. So I normally just because it's inside and I'm walking around all day. I'll just wear like the suit shirt and I wear the vest and I roll my sleeves up because I'm like I get warm enough as it is, and then I'm trying to walk around in a suit all day. And I was out there on Monday. That's all I'd taken. And it was like Monday was like it was cloudy and it was like a wind tunnel where I'm standing there the whole day just shaking in my suit, and everyone came like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." I'm trying to, and then so I was working it again on Tuesday, so I'm like, I'm not making that same mistake. So I wore like a big long white long sleeve t-shirt under my shirt, then shirt sleeves down, wore a big thick jumper. I'm like ready to go. And again, it was like 20 degrees and sunny. I'm there trying to cool myself down
Melbourne.
the whole time.
That's Melbourne.
I'm like, yep, I got these back to front. But thank you all for joining us. Enjoy some sun. Enjoy your day. We'll see you next Friday. Bye for now.